make notes. Okay. Good morning. I am so happy to welcome you all to South Church, whether this is your first time joining us or your 1000th time. My name is Lissa Mascio, and I am a member of a team of worship associates who have the honor and pleasure of collaborating with our settled minister, Reverend Ellen, our director of Lifespan Ministries, Kirsten Hunter, and the rest of our amazing staff. I'm both happy and sad to say that this is actually my very last time serving as your worship associate here at this lectern as my term ends in June. It's been a pleasure. We continue to thrive as a community due to the commitment and efforts of all of us, some of whom you see and many others behind the scenes. We gather this morning, some of us here in the sanctuary and some of us virtually, and it's good to be together. For those of you here in the sanctuary, there are listening devices and large print hymnals in the back. Feel free to ask an usher for assistance. As much as we are all called here to listen to beautiful music, your ringtone is not one of those. So please silence your cell phones now if you may. As we embrace the tenets of our traditions, let us begin our service by acknowledging the land upon which this sanctuary was built some 200 years ago, which was once the territory of the Wabanaki and Pennacook nations. And as with so many Native peoples in both this country and around the world, they did not voluntarily cede this land, and they are some of many peoples for whom true justice and self-determination remain elusive. May we allow this truth to live in fresh ways in our hearts, lead us to ask fresh questions about what is going on around us in the nation and the world, and imagine how to take fresh action on our collective UU values toward restorative justice and renewal. I am pleased to welcome Reverend Mary Katherine Morn from the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee to South Church to lead worship this morning. The Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, or UUSC, is a human rights and social justice organization which advances human rights through grassroots collaborations. The UUA and the UUSC are independent of one another. UUSC works with over 70 partners in over 20 countries around the world. UUSC has 3 interrelated focus areas: climate justice, migration, and disaster justice. Mary Katherine has served as the president and lead executive officer of UUSC since 2018. Her 30 years in faith-based leadership include decades leading UU congregations, primarily in the South, and during that time she's helped to grow a number of progressive congregations serving their members in the largest community. And prior to her role at UUSC, Mary Katherine served as on the senior team at the UUA. For more information about the UUSC and Reverend Mary Katherine Morn, please, there's a yellow insert in your order of worship. So thank you so much for joining us this morning to share your wisdom and experience with South Church. Now some announcements from Kirsten.
Can you hear me? Hey! My name is Kirsten Hunter. I'm the director of Lifespan Ministries here at South Church. Just a few announcements. We're going to start with our board member, Angela. Please, Newberry.
Hi, I'm Angela Newberry here on behalf of the Board of Trustees. I was told to keep it very brief. So Jen Leiden has sent out a wonderful email regarding what we are going to talk about and vote on at the special meeting on Zoom on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. The link is in here in your email. If you didn't get it, see Jen, she'll email it to you, and there are some hard copies out back if you want it. So come to the meeting Tuesday. And there are lots of board members here today. Can everyone, a board member, if you're a board member, find any of us at coffee hour, and we will answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Fabulous. And our pocket garden tour folks. Oh, they're wearing the hats.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm Beth Fisher. This is
Colleen Monahan.
And Mary Hogan, and we are the folks that are in charge of finding volunteers for Garden Host. The tour this year is Friday, June 21st, and Saturday, June 22nd. We need around 66 people, and so far we've got 22. So thank you for everybody who has signed up. It's an easy task, it really is. in the order of service and emails and online, and downstairs today after service, you can sign up to be a garden host. Anything?
Yeah, thank you so much. And
Fabulous. Thank you, Pocket Garden folks. It's also a really fun social activity to be a garden sitter. You get to meet people. Highly recommend that. Just a few other announcements. There is a Mother's Day plant sale happening on May 12th. If you are someone who has bought hanging baskets before to support our high school youth, you can do that again. If you've never done it before, May 12th is your chance. There is also a discussion happening on May 13th connected with our worship service today. John and Irene Bush will be joining the Learning Associates for What's Up, a program on Zoom that you can find out more information about the UUSC and talk with them. So tag that for yourself. Finally, this evening at 7 o'clock tonight, Temple Israel is hosting a speaker. His name is Professor David Smith. It is Holocaust Memorial. The event is around the Holocaust Memorial. David Smith will be speaking about the history of dehumanization. Reverend Ellen and I will be there. We would love for anyone to join us. It starts at 7 p.m. and you do have to pre-register. Temple Israel's website is the place to go for that. Finally, we're going to switch our liturgy up a little bit this morning, and I'd invite you all to rise in body or spirit with your gray hymnal and join us in singing Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, verse 1, 2, 3, and 5, not 4. Number 361.
If you're watching remotely, I invite you to light your own candle at home while Reverend Morn lights the candle in the chalice here in the sanctuary. I bring you these words from Stephen M. Schick, founding director of the Unitarian Universalist Peace Network and the former director of U.S. programs for the UUSC. Vanishing songbirds. The winds of extinction sing a mournful song. In the rustling grass, where the bob-white drums and the meadowlark's melody is vanishing. The winds of extinction sing a mournful song. In the dark forest shadows, where the boreal chickadee's voice is no longer heard, and the grosbeak serenades a coming hush. The winds of extinction sing a mournful song. Over the troubled waters, where the great scout quietly rests for the last time, and the harsh voice turns skydives to death. The winds of extinction sing a mournful song while we wait to find our voices to sing for their rebirth. Now, if you'd please stand, if you're able, and join me in reciting our mission statement, which is in your order of service and on your screen. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people, and we inspire one another to act on our faith in the larger community. We will now be having our new member ceremony with Reverend Ellen and Kirsten.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Ellen. This is Kirsten Hunter, Lifespan Director of Lifespan Ministry. Kim Rivest from our fellowship team, and Tracy Lipset from our fellowship team. There are many special days in the life of a congregation, and this is one of them. Today, we not only get to hear about the crucial life-saving work of the UUSC, who bring UU values to life through love and service all around the world. Today, we get to formally recognize those in our midst who have chosen to join this congregation, who want to bring UU values to life in their own lives, in this congregation and in our wider community. Today, we witness the expanding of our parts into a larger and more purposeful whole that moves the world toward a greater good for all.
Our new members have made a decision to join a community committed to a search for truth. They've joined a congregation that stands for justice, knowing that achieving justice is a long and challenging journey. They have joined with a people who strive to live in loving relationship with one another. We have a variety of religious and social understandings. These are not easy things to navigate, and we do that together.
This church holds no set creed upon which everyone agrees. What we do is we affirm that we will be kind and generous with each other in our varied understandings of spiritual life, and also that we will show compassion and caring for ourselves and for our worlds.
And so we will call out the names of those new members who have joined the church over this past year. And as I call your name, if you're willing, please come forward to accept a flower from Tracy or Kim as a symbol of our love and joy at your joining. Nancy McLean, James Nelson, Richard Spence, Susan Spence, Chris Kuiper, and Veda Kuiper-Phelps, who I'm quite sure aren't able to be here today. I just left them at a campground. Ken Showman, Sean Gommond, Paula Mauser, Mike DeCotu. If I say your name wrong, please, I am sorry. Come tell me so I can fix my brain. Colleen Monahan, Will Sicola, Cheryl Tate, and David Mortensen.
My name is Kim Rivas, and I welcome each of you, our newest members. As a member of the Fellowship Associates, I will share what we expect of you as members of the congregation. We expect you to be present on Sunday mornings, present at congregational meetings, present in the life of the community. We expect you to grow spiritually, to examine your life and its meanings for you in community, and to share these insights with others. We expect you to give of yourself in service, both to the church and the larger community. And we expect you to participate in the stewardship process and support this church with your financial support. Do you, the newest members of this congregation, freely accept these expectations of your membership? If so, respond by saying, "Yes, we do." Yes, we do.
And to all of you, our congregation, will the members of South Church please rise if you are able, in body or spirit? If there are children in this room, you're welcome to stand up on your pews for this. This is one of those special times so we can see your heads above. Will the members of South Church, well, with every new member, we become a new congregation. Do you welcome these people into membership, fully aware that as life is constantly changing, so too our congregation is constantly evolving? Please respond by saying, yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Please be seated. We close with the words of Starhawk. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never seen, a place half remembered and half envisioned that we can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing, a circle of friends, someplace to be free. Amen, and blessed be. And congratulations, and welcome.
Hello again. This morning I will bring you a reading from Rosemary, Wahtola, Trommer called For When People Ask. I want a word that means okay and not okay. More than that, a word that means devastated and stunned with joy. I want the word that says, I feel it all at once. The heart is not like a songbird singing only one note at a time. More like a Tuvan throat singer, able to sing both a drone and simultaneously 2 or 3 harmonics high above it, a sound, the Tuvans say, that gives the impression of wind swirling among rocks. The heart understands swirl, how the churning of opposite feelings weaves through us like an insistent breeze, leads us wordlessly deeper into ourselves, blesses us with paradox so we might walk more openly into this world so rife with devastation, this world so ripe with joy. Now, if you would like to rise and join us for hymn number 134, Our World is One World.
With love or hate we make
Okay, I would love to invite anybody who would like to hear a story from a little closer up is welcome to come up here or sit on the front pew. There will also be images from the book I am reading on the screen for those of you who are further away. This book that I'm reading today is called Wangari's Trees of Peace. It is a true story from East Africa. And it is about an amazing woman named Wangari Maathai. And this is a quote. She said, "The earth was naked for me. The mission was to try to cover it with green." So Wangari lived under an umbrella of green trees in the shadow of Mount Kenya in Africa. She watches the birds in the forest where she and her mother go to gather firewood for cooking. And she helps harvest sweet potatoes, sugar cane, and maize from the rich soil. Wangari shines in school, and when she grows tall like the trees in the forest, she wins a scholarship to study in America. 6 years later, her studies over, Wangari returns to her Kenya home and sees change. What has happened, she wonders. Where are the trees? Wangari sees women bent from hauling firewood miles and miles from home. She sees barren land where no crops grow. She sees barren land where no crops grow, and where are the birds? Thousands of trees have been cut down to make room for buildings, but no one planted new trees to take their place. Will all of Kenya become a desert, she worries, as her tears fall. Wangari thinks about the barren land. I can begin to replace some of the lost trees here in my own backyard, one tree at a time, and she starts by planting 9 seedlings. Watching the seedlings take root gives Wangari the idea to plant more, to start a farm of baby trees, a nursery. In an open space, she plants row after row of the tiny trees. Next, Wangari convinces the village women that planting trees is a good thing. She gives each one a seedling. Our lives will be better when we have trees again, you'll see. We are planting the seeds of hope. The women spread out over their village, planting tiny trees in long rows like a green belt stretching over the land. The government men laugh. Women can't do this, they say. It takes trained foresters to plant trees. The women ignore the laughter, and they keep planting. Wangari pays them a small amount for each seedling still living after 3 months, their first earnings ever. Word travels like wind rustling through leaves about the green returning to Wangari's village. Soon, other women in other villages and towns and cities in Kenya are planting long rows of seedlings too. But the cutting continues. Wangari stands tall as an oak to protect the old trees still remaining. We need a park more than we need an office tower, she says. The government men disagree. Wangari blocks their way, so they hit her with clubs. They call her a troublemaker, and they put her in jail. And still, she stands tall. Right is right, even if you're alone. But Wangari is not alone. Talk of the trees spreads all over Africa, like ripples in Lake Victoria. More women hear the talk and plant even more seedlings in longer and longer rows. The seedlings take root and grow tall until there are over 30 million trees where there were none. The umbrella of green in Kenya returns. Women walk tall, their backs straight, for now they can gather firewood closer to home. The land is no longer barren. Sweet potatoes, sugarcane, and maize grow again in the rich red earth. The whole world hears of Wangari's trees and of her army of women who planted them. And if you were to climb to the very top of Mount Kenya today, you would see the millions of trees growing below you and the green Wangari brought back to East Africa. This is a true story, and I want to just tell you a couple little things. She started this thing called the Green Belt Movement in 1977. That was about 50 years ago. And she enlisted local women to help her plant the trees, which gave them a source of employment that actually allowed them to make money, so it helped the women too. By 2004, 30 million trees, 6,000 nurseries were established, and the income of 80,000 people had been increased. And the movement spread to 30 other countries in Africa and beyond. Wangari Maathai earned a Nobel Peace Prize in 2004. She was one person who talked to other people she knew and made change happen. And that's pretty much what we do here too. So I thought that might be a cool story to share with you. Thank you for listening. And if anybody wants to go down to RE, we're going to sing a song now.
Amen. Good morning. I have a secret to share, and maybe ministers share this. Maybe you knew this already. The most wonderful place to sit in a sanctuary on Sunday morning. Oops. How's that? Thank you. The best place to sit on Sunday morning is where the minister sits, because we have the great privilege and joy of watching you arrive and gather, and watching the miracle of a community come together, where people greet old friends, new friends, where the sharing of deep concern begins to happen, the sharing of joys. This starts from the moment people arrive in this room. And now at this time in the service, we take a moment to join our hearts together in a time of meditation and a time of prayer, to give thanks for this miracle that is here in the room, but also beyond this room for those who have gathered to join us virtually, for the gift of sharing our concerns that lift our burdens, and sharing our joys that multiply the gifts of life for all of us. Reverend Ellen asked that I share with you two things this morning as we join our hearts in this common meditation and prayer. Connie Freiermuth broke her shoulder last week, but she expects to go into rehab this week. We hold her in our thoughts and prayers. We celebrate with Jane Kavanaugh that after a long journey with back difficulties, she will be coming home on Monday. We have all arrived carrying the okay and not okay that the poet spoke of. I want a word that means okay and not okay. My heart sings more like a Tuvan singer, not one single melody, but the heart's a swirl. The heart holds both the devastation and the joy of this life we share. I invite you into a time of quiet for reflection and meditation and prayer, holding this truth, this paradox, this swirl with gratitude and with hope. We are blessed by this paradox, that we walk openly into this world together, this world so rife with devastation, this world so ripe with joy. Amen.
Sorry, it's a few pages behind. Every week at the Offertory, we each give what we're able in order to support South Church, the building, the staff, congregants, and the greater community. In an effort coordinated by our social justice associates, each month we share our collection with a different nonprofit organization. This month of May, the collection will be shared with NAMI New Hampshire, a grassroots organization working to improve the quality of life for all by providing support, education, and advocacy for people affected by mental illness and suicide. I work closely with NAMI New Hampshire in my own job, and I can tell you that they provide invaluable resources, not just to the community through programs like trauma-informed crisis intervention trainings for local law enforcement, but they also advocate for their constituency, really all of us, at the legislature and in communities across the state. You can learn more at www.naminewhampshire.org. You can donate in many ways. If you happen to have some cash with you, feel free to use the collection baskets, which will be passed now. But if you do not have any money, you can also use our mobile app, Vanco. You can give via the donate link on the website, or you can scan the lovely QR code in our order of service. The offering will now be gratefully received.
for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Maybe, yeah, how's that? What a joy it is to be with you. This is not my first visit. I'm glad to be back. I appreciate the warm welcome I've received and so grateful for all of the support. The last time I was here, there was a lot of transition in the life of this congregation. What a joy it is to see your wonderful minister. This is all old news, not your new minister so much anymore, and your welcoming of this new class of members. What a joy to see you as a congregation thriving and settling in and surviving and thriving and offering your ministry in such important ways. I'm really grateful to be here. I also want to acknowledge and thank Kirsten, who is part of a project that our College of Social Justice, a joint project with the UUA and the UUSC, is working on. We're so grateful for Kirsten's support and leadership and wisdom in that project. And a special thanks to John and Irene Bush, who kept pushing and saying, come back, please come back. We'd love to have folks learn more about UUSC. John and Irene are longtime supporters of UUSC, and we are so grateful for your leadership in many ways. Our reading for this morning is the poem Matafele Peinem, read by the poet Kathy Jetnil-Kijiner. Kathy is the founder of UUSC partner Jojikum, an organization in the Marshall Islands. Jojikum means your home, and works to support the education and engagement of youth on the Marshall Islands as they face the devastating impacts of climate change. You may remember that the Marshall Islands were the site of extensive and devastating nuclear tests, with the United Nations having provided the United States access and use of people's homes and land as trusteeship territory, causing massive displacement and ongoing harm to human and to other life. On September 23rd, 2014, at the age of 26, Ms. Jetnil-Kijiner from the Marshall Islands addressed the opening ceremony of the UN Secretary General's Climate Summit.
Dear Matafele Peinem, you are a 7-month-old sunrise of gummy smiles. You are bald as an egg and bald as the Buddha. Your thighs that are thunder, shrieks that are lightning, so excited for bananas, hugs, and our morning walks along the lagoon. Dear Matafele Peinem, I want to tell you about that lagoon, that lucid, sleepy lagoon lounging against the sunrise. Men say that one day, that lagoon will devour you. They say it will gnaw at the shoreline, chew at the roots of your breadfruit trees, gulp down rows of your seawalls, and crunch through your island's shattered bones. They say you, your daughter, and your granddaughter too, will wander rootless, with only a passport to call home. Dear Matafele Peinem, don't cry. Mommy promises you, no one will come and devour you. No greedy whale of a company sharking through political seas, no backwater bullying of businesses with broken morals, no blindfolded bureaucracies gonna push this mother ocean over the edge. No one's drowning, baby. No one's moving. No one's losing their homeland. No one's gonna become a climate change refugee. or should I say, no one else. To the Carteret Islanders of Papua New Guinea and to the Taro Islanders of Fiji, I take this moment to apologize to you. We are drawing the line here. Because baby, we are going to fight. Your mommy, daddy, boo-boo, dimma, your country, and your president too, we will all fight. And even though there are those hidden behind platinum titles who like to pretend that we don't exist, that the Marshall Islands, Tuvalu, Kiribati, Maldives, and Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, and floods of Pakistan, Algeria, and Colombia, and hurricanes, tidal waves, and earthquakes didn't exist, still, there are those who see us. Hands reaching out, fists raising up, banners unfurling, megaphones booming, and we are canoes blocking coal ships. We are the radiance of solar villages. We are the rich, clean soil of the farmer's past. We are petitions blooming from teenage fingertips. We are families biking, recycling, reusing, engineers dreaming, designing, building, artists painting, dancing, writing. We are spreading the word. And there are thousands out on the street, marching with signs, hand in hand, chanting for change now. They're marching for you, baby. They're marching for us. Because we deserve to do more than just survive. We deserve to thrive. Dear Matafele Peinem, you are eyes heavy with drowsy weight. So just close those eyes, baby, and sleep in peace. Because we won't let you down. You'll see.
It's a beautiful video, and maybe we can get it into the service online so that you can see it, but you could hear Kathy's beautiful passion and her call to all of us. Matafele, her daughter, Matafele Peinem, must be 10 years old now. Her mother is still writing poetry, still fighting for her people, fighting for our planet, planting seeds of hope, raising her precious daughter. And I trust, are we okay? All right, are y'all with me? Thank you. And I trust she still holds a bold imagination for us, for our future. She says there will be no more climate refugees. Can you imagine it? In February, I heard Professor Ruha Benjamin from Princeton speak about her new book. We do have slides, right? Her new book, Imagination, a Manifesto. One of the important messages of Professor Benjamin's book is that we do a great job with our imagination when it comes to science and technology. But when we're talking about the social crises that our world is facing, we don't do as well. I got to hear Professor Benjamin at a bookstore just a few months ago, and she led us in this exercise, which was so illuminating. With apologies and thanks to her, I want to share it with you. Just a little illustration of how we often use or don't allow ourselves to use imagination in our own lives. So I'm going to ask for your help. That's why I'm down here. I'm going to ask this part of the room to respond when I motion to you, be bold. Be bold. And this side of the room, would you respond when I motion to you, get real. We can build smart cars that drive themselves and keep us safer. We can educate all of our children. Artificial intelligence will open new doors for innovation. We can provide a living wage for all. We can arm and train our police and military to create safety for some. Cease fire now. We'll support life in space. There will be no more climate refugees. Get real. You hear us? It's not the first time you've heard that kind of response, I trust, right? Not for me. At the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, we are blessed to be in relationship with partners who practice faithful imagination and healing connection. These are two fundamental principles I believe are needed as we weave a tapestry of love and action for the sake of a world that reflects our compassion and our commitment to peace and justice and love. This is a sermon about and an invitation to faithful imagination that is needed for our world, for a world where all can thrive, where all can flourish. I am really grateful for this privilege of sharing stories from the work UUSC is doing with our grassroots partners around the world. Like the UUSC partners who met together 5 years ago now, coming from the Pacific, Bangladesh, Louisiana, and meeting together with our indigenous partners in Alaska. In 5 rich and joyful days together, funded and supported by UUSC, indigenous climate leaders shared stories of challenge and stories of resilience, and together imagined strategies and solutions. I tell you, hearing the chief of the tribe in Newtok, Alaska, perhaps you've read about the devastation that's happened in Newtok, hearing the chief of the Newtok tribal community in Alaska, and hearing Mark, a veteran climate justice activist from Fiji, hearing the two of them, I know it is possible to hold the devastation and the joy. This gathering of UUSC partners was the most joy-filled organizing and strategy gathering I've witnessed. There was music and laughter and beautiful color and an honoring of every person, young and old, all in service of joy. And this, as they shared the devastating impacts of climate change on their communities. But it was the joy I felt through the whole week that was powering their brilliant, strategic, imaginative thinking. And just this last year, in June, we had the privilege of seeing part of their strategy come to fruition when a representative of the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights joined us in Louisiana, in Alaska, visiting these tribes, learning about the impacts of climate change and the violations of their human rights that are happening both at a state and a national level. We're so proud to have helped them bring this representative to their communities. She has since published a powerful and vivid report about the conditions they are facing, and we are working with the tribes now on advocacy at the national and state level to demand attention to the impacts that are harming these communities and these individuals. So also here, I want to share 3 brief glimpses of the beauty and the joy that propels imagination and courage in UUSC partners. UUSC Partnership Officer Myra Dagapa is here with partners from Burma who are currently, also known as Myanmar, currently resisting the military's illegitimate rule and fighting for the recognition of the genocide against the Burmese Muslim Rohingya. You may have seen a powerful piece in the New York Times just a couple of weeks ago about the situation in Myanmar right now. Didn't even acknowledge in the piece that there was a genocide. It was so disappointing to see this kind of press coverage. Usually there's almost no press coverage, but we continue to work with the communities in Burma to raise attention and to get the United States to stop providing fuel that is supporting the Army's effort in its violence against its own people. On the top right are leaders of the Black Alliance Poland sharing their joy in building community for people traumatized both by war in Ukraine and by the relentless racism in Eastern Europe and within many aid agencies. We were just there 2 weeks ago visiting this partner with our board and learned of the wonderful work that they've continued to do in these 2 years since the invasion of Ukraine, the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. They're powerful advocates for anti-racism and creating a safe place for people who are Black in Poland. At the bottom, you see a photo from Equality Bahamas, where women are fighting against ongoing disenfranchisement and the oppression of LGBTQ plus people there. UUSC partners cannot deny the devastating intersectional systems of oppression that order so much of our world, and still enjoy and with courage and imagination they resist. In 2019, at the time of the youth climate strike, the very large youth climate strike, Rebecca Solnit wrote a letter, a love letter of sorts, which was published in The Guardian. Solnit is an essayist and social commentator. And in her letter, she wrote in part, "I want to say to all the climate strikers today, thank you so much for being unreasonable. Thank you, that is, thank you if reasonable means playing by the rules. And the rules are presumed to be guidelines for what is and is not possible. Then you may be told that what you are asking for is impossible or unreasonable. They will tell you the rules are that those we see in the news and the parliaments and the boardrooms hold all the power. And you must be nice to them, and perhaps they will give you crumbs or the time of day, or just a door slammed in your face. They will tell you that things can only change in tiny increments by predictable means. They're wrong. Thank you for not being reasonable. Thank you for not listening when they tell you to get real." At UUSC, we engage in the work of human rights through partnerships of radical trust with grassroots organizations creating community-led change. Our mission affirms the inherent dignity and worth and power of all people. I love that UUSC in its mission adds this element of power, acknowledging it's a critical addition, acknowledging the power that every person has to affect change. Just as a lack of imagination prevents us from the work that is needed, a perception that we are powerless paralyzes us, essentially giving in to systems and governments who wish we would just get real. Leaving power out also causes us to treat other people who are facing systemic oppression, as though they are their oppression, that this defines them. And defining people by the ways systems have marginalized them perpetuates injustice. Defining them instead from their power and their agency and their right to self-determination creates the possibility of just systems. UUSC partners consistently and stubbornly claim their power and reject the notion that there is little we can do. 27 young adult law school students have demonstrated for many around the world the potential of people with a vision for justice and equity who know their power. I hope that some of you have heard their story. In their environmental law classroom at the University of the South Pacific, they were given an assignment to imagine the most creative, international legal strategy for addressing the climate crisis. They researched previous actions and campaigns and decided that the United Nations General Assembly should direct the International Court of Justice to create an advisory opinion on the human rights impact of climate change and define thereby the obligations of states to protect people from past, present, and future harm. That's all. They took their proposal to the Pacific Island Forum and essentially got a nod and a congratulations and presumably an A. But this was not an idle exercise for those 27 students. They wanted nothing less than a vote of the United Nations General Assembly to create the first ever framework for accountability for the climate crisis. So they formed Pacific Island Students Fighting Climate Change and launched their International Court of Justice campaign. UUSC, loving a scrappy and small startup, was delighted to be one of the first funders for the Pacific Island students. This is a picture of UUSC's Director of Advocacy, Salote Soko, with Solomon and Vishal, the campaign directors at that time. They visited Boston in 2022, and Solomon and Vishal told UUSC's board that it was funding from UUSC that made it possible for them to attend COP26 in Scotland and make connections with larger organizations with access to greater funding. UUSC also supported them by providing UN credentials and connecting leaders with housing in New York during the most intense period of the campaign. I love the way being a small organization makes it possible for us to do things that appear small but can make all the difference. So, with the sponsorship of the nation of Vanuatu, the 27 students took their campaign to the world and ultimately received the support of over 120 nations, almost 2/3 of the member nations. Can you imagine? On March 29th, 2023, the United Nations General Assembly adopted by unanimous consent the Pacific Island Students' proposal. I still involuntarily shake my head a little, remembering their remarkable achievement. And remembering, truth be told, listening to them just 9 months before the vote happened, and admiring their courage and their vision and their imagination, and never dreaming that the resolution would pass. There's still a lot of work to do. We continue to support the Pacific Island students as they prepare for the advisory opinion to be issued. It could come out in the next few months to the next maybe 9 months or so. We know that a lot of advocacy will be needed, and we are also working with them for accountability and funding for the new loss and damage fund that has been set up as a result of the most recent climate crisis conferences. Around the world, and with your support, UUSC works with partners to challenge the systems that disconnect us, that allow us to turn away or to shrug helplessly and sigh, "Get real." In rejecting the notion that there is no other way, that there is little we can do, feminist activists in Poland, the Pacific students, grassroots groups in Burma, feminist farmers in Nicaragua, land and water defenders in Honduras, democracy activists in Haiti, and many others are building healing connection and regenerative economies so that all may flourish, so that all may thrive. When you are tempted by despair, I hope you will remember UUSC partners. I hope you will remember that we can all resist injustice, joining together for peace. Our resistance can take the form of organizing, for supporting human rights work by joining UUSC, by calling for a ceasefire, as you all have been doing, by working for the rights of asylum seekers, and reform of our very, very broken immigration system. People will tell you to get real, but I want to thank you in advance for being unreasonable. Your being unreasonable is what they always say when people claim their power to challenge structures that oppress. When youth challenge their elders. When indigenous leaders challenge colonizers and industries and demand protection of community sources of water. When congregations challenge authorities by welcoming a person into sanctuary or accompanying an asylum seeker. In her love letter to the youth climate strikers, Solnit closes this way, and I will as well. You may be told that what you are asking for is impossible or unreasonable. Don't listen. Don't stop. Don't let your dreams shrink by 1 inch. Don't forget that this might be the day, this might be the pivotal year when we rewrite what is possible. May it be so. Amen. I'm grateful that John and Irene will share an invitation to all of you to be involved in the work of UUSC.
I hesitate to follow up on that, but here I am in more pedestrian matters. About 11 years ago, I retired from work in the business world and began work with global development policy in the sexy area of international tax and fiscal reform. However, during that time of 11 years, I encountered many charities, many CSOs doing good work around the world. But the UUSC, what sets it apart is its focus on marginalized people. So to further their work, we are asking you to support them by becoming members of the UUSC. And we'll have a table downstairs for that purpose following the service today. To further support them, if you give a contribution of $150 or more, the Shelter Rock congregation will match that amount as well. So, without further ado, I think Irene may have a statement or two, and we're going to sing a hymn.
I just want to remind you, as Kirsten said, that the Learning Associates will be putting on a program about the UUSC on Monday, May 13th. It'll be over Zoom at 7 o'clock. So our closing hymn is, we're singing just verses 1 and 4 and all of the choruses. The number is 121.
Thank you. Thanks.
We bind up the broken, we'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves. where like oaks of righteousness stand her people. Oh, come build the land, my people we seek. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Congregation, can we be bold together? Be bold. Be bold. May love and justice guide our actions, and may our work in this world rife with devastation and ripe with joy be towards creating that beloved community where all may thrive, and there will be no more climate refugees. Be bold. Go in peace, my friends.
Susan, your little piece with the meditation was wonderful.
Like that?
Thank you for that. It was perfect.
Oh, good.
That was very nice.
I like
Thank you. I did.